Hi, my name's Sonia and this is my channel, See It Then, See It Now. We have another editor challenge and I can't say that I absolutely love this one because I've not started it yet. So my challenge is to upcycle this lamp that's not working and may not ever work, and it was headed for the bin. So I can check the wires in the plug, I can check the fuse, and I can check the bulbs, but if it's anything more technical than that, that is the complete scope of my expertise when it comes to electrics. So if it's none of those things, it's going to have to be recycled in something that's not a lamp. Yeah, so we'll see. It's a challenge, but we're going to save it from going to the skip. So this is the See It Then. Cross your fingers and wish me luck for how the See It Now turns out. I'll jump straight on this, I think.
To be honest, I had no idea what I was going to do with this lamp. Sometimes I can look at something and an idea just pops straight in, and sometimes the cogs have to turn for a while. First thing though was to pull it apart and give it a good clean. Once I'd worked out the setup on this, it came apart quite easily. Although I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with this, I did know that I wanted those balls to be out of the stand. They weren't working, so I cut the wire off at the switch so that I could pull them out of the stand. After giving everything a good clean, I had decided what I could do with the stand part of this, so I started by giving it 2 coats of chalk paint. I was nearly out of blackjack, which was what I would have ideally liked to paint it with, so I just added a little bit of grey just to make sure I had enough paint. Once it was dry, I lightly went over the surface with some silver gilding wax, and once that was dry, I gave the whole thing a coat of clear matte varnish just to seal it all.
Okay, so this is all dry now and I need to decide what to do with it. So I am definitely making this up as we go along. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting a piece of floral foam in the bottom. So I think we'll make it about this big. Now, I bought these picks from the range, and these I think will be really good for the other project, the other half of this, so the bit what I'm using the bowls for, but I'm definitely not going to use these silver leaves in that, and I think they will look good in this one, so I'm just going to pull them out. But this greenery will definitely come in for the other half of the project. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. These baubles might look nice in this one as well. Let's have those. Those might go. I'll take them out as well. They might go. Okay. So at this moment in time, when I'm starting a project like this, where I'm just going to make a bit of a floral arrangement type thing, I really do just make it up as I go along, and the only decision that I actually make is I've kind of decided on what colours I'm going to go with, and I'm going with very pale blues and silvers is what I've decided. And I've got a bucket of some pale blue onesie that might come in for it. I have this in my stash. It's been in my stash for absolutely ages, at least last year if not the year before, so I thought I might get that used up as well because that's going to go with the colours quite nicely. Okay, there's a B&M. Don't think they'll have them on sale this year though. Some glue on. Stuck in there. So for greenery I'm could use some more of this broken Christmas tree. The rustic baubles, I used some of it on that. The dragon's reef, I used a load of it on that, and I've still got loads of Christmas tree left. Yes, it's doing quite a lot of projects, is this broken tree, which is good.
Now for the fun bit of making this look pretty. I started with a layer of greenery and then started building up the arrangement from there. I'm sure that there's a way that this is supposed to be done, and maybe there's a quicker way to create an arrangement, but I do just totally make it up as I go and just try different pieces, see how they look, and if I like the look of it then I add it. If not, I'll try another piece and keep swapping and changing until I like the look.
That looks good, I like that. So I think I'm just going to leave it up to there at that side, and this side I think I'm going to bring it up slightly more. Just to check on where this is going to go. It's looking the part, I'll show you. Close up there. Okay, so it's just more of the same.
When I said that I was saving the other picks for the balls part of the challenge, I still wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do with them, and to be fair, I changed my mind so many times before finally making a decision on them, what exactly to do with them, and they do look absolutely amazing. I'm so excited to share it with you, so do stick around and see what I do with those later on in the video.
Okay, that's looking really good at the front now, so we now need to sort the back out, which is not looking so good. The back needs work. There we go. It's as good as it's going to get. I love it. I don't want this to be scratching the surface of my table, so I should have done this to start with and not waited till the whole thing was finished. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick these pieces of cardboard in just to give the centre some support. I'm just going to bubble this on the bottom. Ouch. And those pieces of card I've put in the middle has just given that a bit of strength. I'm going to just paint this up, especially around the edge, because that's going to show.
Once I had this painted up, I added a little bit of the silver gilding wax, and then once it was all dry, I popped some little felt feet on. Now to do something with those lamp bowls, shades, things. And I decided I was going to attach them to this hoop, and because the hoop had a little bit of flexibility in it, I decided to add this piece of wire all the way around the outside just to give it a bit of extra support. I'm not sure if this was necessary, but it did feel a bit sturdier once I'd done it, and I felt better knowing that I'd popped that extra bit of support in there. I just attached it all the way around with glue, wire, and then I put floral tape over the wire. I removed those two little wooden blocks that were at the bottom of the hoop, and then I screwed the hoop into a piece of wood that I was using for the base of the arrangement. I just used 2 screws and just screwed those in. I wanted this display to be a bit different, and I wanted to use more natural elements, twigs, pebbles, stones, pine cones, that sort of thing, so I went rooting. The tiny pebbles and the white stones were left over from when we did our garden, and they were just in the garage. The pine cones, some are bought, some are what I've picked up when we've been out walking. The twigs are bought, and I will leave links to what I can in the description box. I started gluing the tiny stones to the base with PVA glue. I intended pretty much covering the whole base with these stones, but once I had quite a lot of them down and in place, I thought it would be best to see how I went with the other things before finishing the whole base with the stones. So now I'm back to making it up as I go, adding bits to the arrangement just where I think it looks pretty. I started building it up from the bottom, covering most of the hoop, but all of the wire and all of the floral tape. So while we watch this come together, I thought I would let you know what's coming in the new year. Getting the guest bedroom finished is at the top of the agenda. When I started the guest bedroom, I knew it was going to take a long time to do, mostly because I wanted to try upcycle everything that goes in there. I wasn't banking on having the year that we've just had though. It's been a very difficult year. We have had our fair share of bad news, and we've had our fair share of trips to the hospital, and we've been overall very lucky. But to say that it's been stressful and strange and somewhat of a challenge is an understatement. Obviously, this impacted on the time and energy left to spend crafting, So new year is full focus on getting the room finished. Even I've had enough of it not being completed now, never mind anyone else. So there's more furniture upcycles, decor for in there too. I've completed the wardrobe for in there, so that will be coming to you in the new year. This was my most challenging furniture upcycle to date. I don't know if it was because it was so big, but it's definitely being labelled my most challenging to date. I'm going to make over the bed, make an headboard, so there's lots coming on that in the new year. What else have we got coming? The mural I painted on my granddaughter's wall, which we did live. If you missed that or only saw snippets of that, we'll be releasing the time-lapse video of that one in the new year too. I'm sure Becky will be giving me some more editor challenges, and I have lots of other ideas too. So if you think this is something that would be of interest, then do make sure that you're subscribed. Once I had the front looking pretty, I turned it around and covered the rest of the base with the tiny pebbles. Now I needed to attach the lights. I wrapped wire around the wire on the lights to secure each one to the hoop. Again, I used floral tape over the top of the wire just to give it that extra bit of support. I think this would have been enough to secure it, but just to be on the safe side, I also threaded a piece of wire through two of the holes in the top of the silver disc part of the lamp and secured that to the hoop as well. Once all three were in place, I secured the wire down the back of the hoop just to tidy it up and so that it wasn't hanging and dangling from the top of the arrangement. I then added more decor over the top just to hide the wire.
Look at that, how cool does that look? Right, I need to stop sticking things to this. This is the trouble, you see. You can just keep going and keep going, but it's looking so lovely. I need to stop. I need to have a think about how I'm going to sort this top section out. I am going to need to be putting the baubles on, I think, before I finish the top section off. So I need to do some work on these. Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to apply it.
Last quick ponder over, decision made. I needed to make 3 small hats for the top of the hoop. I made 2 out of ribbon, 1 out of cardboard. To make the ribbon one, I cut a piece of cardboard the same diameter as the width of the ribbon, and I used hot glue to cover this with ribbon on one side. I then glued the edge of the ribbon around the edge of the circle to create the top part of the hat. Once glued all the way around, I folded the ribbon inwards and created a neat seam and glued this down. I filled it with stuffing and put it to one side to work on the rim. Using another piece of cardboard cut into a hoop shape, the inside is the same size as the circle I used for the top of the hat. And I covered this in ribbon, folding it on the inside and making sure that the outer edge stayed flat. Once I'd covered it all the way around, I turned it over and repeated the process on the other side, but also gluing the outer 2 edges of the ribbons together. I hope that makes sense. I have actually gone into more detail on how to make a ribbon hat like this in one of my other videos, and I'm I do it a little bit slower, so I will link that. But because I wanted this to be about the arrangement more than about making hats, I have actually speeded this bit up. Just something to bear in mind when you turn this over and start doing the second set of ribbon, set off round the hoop in the same place as you set off with the first one, so that your two seams will be in the same place. Once that was done, I added a circle of card to the top of the hat to keep the stuffing in place, and then I glued the edge of the top to the inner edge of the rim, and I glued the piece of cardboard in place as well. All that I need to say is make sure that your seam on your top is in the same place as your seam on your rim. It just gives you a nicer finish. Once that was done, all that was left to do was to add some embellishments. Now for the cardboard hat, I cut 2 hoops for the rim and I used a yoghurt pot for the top part of the hat. I bent the card a little and then I glued the rim of the pot to one of the hoops. I then pushed the other hoop over the yoghurt pot and glued it to the other piece of cardboard. So that meant that the yoghurt pot rim was trapped between the 2 pieces of cardboard. I then covered all the seams with masking tape. I hope that made sense. With how many takes I did of it, that's the best I can do in explaining that. Hopefully watching it on the screen helps, and of course I have done a cardboard hat before, so I will put the link to that. I did it slightly different. I didn't do it with a yoghurt pot, but it's similar and you'll get the gist if you want to watch that video. I felt the top of the pot was a little bit flimsy, so I added a piece of card to that too and then covered that with masking tape. I then gave the whole thing a couple of layers of napkin, just the leftover layers from when I've done decoupaging. I covered the whole hat and I wasn't concerned about having any wrinkles in there because I think that will add to the finished look. Once it was dry, I gave it a coat of black acrylic paint. I then needed to let this dry, so I will come back to this hat a little bit later on in the video.
Right, okay, exciting bit now. So, I have been playing around and doing a bit of drawing, and I've drawn these faces, and I need to put 3 onto the baubles, the lamp bulb, these things. So I quite like this one, and I think this one.
I traced around the face, turned the tracing paper over and traced around the face again. I then positioned it on the light shade and traced around a 3rd time to give me my outline. I then used acrylic paints to paint the faces onto the shades. I've never painted on glass like this before. I've painted glass as in cover the whole surface and then decoupage over the top, or I've painted it in order to change the look, but I've not painted a design onto the glass surface. I did Google it to see what type of paint was best, and I nearly bought some glass paint, but Google repeatedly said that acrylic paint is fine on glass, so I decided to use acrylic, and it went on very easily, no problems at all, so I'm really glad that I didn't go out and buy some extra paint for this. I love watching these faces come together, all speeded up here. I just think it looks really cool as they start to come to life on the glass. My hat was now dry and I started gluing on the embellishments, and then I realised that I hadn't added the copper gilding wax to the surface, so I quickly added that before continuing with the embellishments. I just used a tiny bit and lightly rubbed it over the surface with my finger, and it just highlighted all those little wrinkles that I'd put in with the napkin, and I just feel like it gave it a metallic look. I just love this look. I've done it before in other videos. I love this look. I attached the hats at the front, but they didn't feel very secure because only a bit of the hat was touching the display. So to get around this, I added embellishments at the back and I glued the hat to the embellishments. This helped to secure the hats more and also helped to finish off the back of the display and cover up the floral tape and wire where I'd attached the lamps. haven't had time to get in front of the camera for the end of this video like I usually do because this little thing called Christmas has got in the way. So let's have a reminder and see it then. And this time it's a little bit different, but let's see them now. So you know what I'm going to say. Yes, you've got it. I absolutely love how this turned out. Upcycling something that was literally going into the bin is my favourite kind of crafting, especially when it turns out to look so amazing. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments and hit that like button for me. The only bits that I didn't use on this was the metal plate and the piece of felt off the bottom. The metal can go in my steampunk stash, or I'm sure the wannabe welder can use it, so that just leaves a piece of felt. I think that I well and truly passed this challenge. Editor Becky, what do you think? So what's next? Well, it's time for me to get out of my PJs, stop eating Christmas cake and chocolate and get to work on next year's content. But before I do, I want to thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate you all. I hope you've had an amazing Christmas and I wish you all the best for 2025. I love you all. Thank you. I'm making it my mission in the new year to post on social media more and keep you more up to date on what's happening with the channel. So make sure that you are subscribed and follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I will keep you more updated. Thank you again for your support, and I will see you very soon in the new year. Bye for now.